So we are honored to hear our Capstone students give their presentations. And our Capstone, the way it operates is students sign up for a seminar topic. And so just want to let you know because the talks will all be related. And so the topic, my topic, is ecological speciation. I'll let Dr. Behrens talk a little bit more about his topic. But I am honored to introduce our first speaker, Taylor Kleinfelter. She is from Puyallup, Washington, and her favorite PLU memory, we always like to introduce our students with their favorite memory. Her favorite PLU memory was she was able to go on a fantastic J-term trip with Dr. Chuck Bergman from the English department, an environmental literature course, and they got to travel to Argentina as well as Antarctica. And one of the highlights on the trip was being able to view whales from the boat as well as visiting a penguin colony. And with that, I'd like to introduce Taylor's talk. She'll be talking to us about divergent selection leading to hybrid inviability in three-spine sticklebacks.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. So like she said, my name is Taylor Kleinfelter, and the presentation I'm going to be giving to you today is entitled Divergent Selection Leading to Hybrid Inviability in Gastroesophageal. So before we get started, I'd like to thank Dr. Julie Smith and my Capstone peers for all of their invaluable advice and feedback throughout this entire process, and then my friends and family for supporting me during the semester and my entire time at PLU. Okay. So before we get started, I'm going to give you a little background information on ecological speciation in general, and then on our study system, Geosceliatus. So ecological speciation is the process in which divergent selection leads to reproductive barriers between species. So divergent selection is just selecting for two different forms of a single species that leads to the two species being different from each other. This can be driven by several different factors, but in this presentation we're going to focus on competition-driven divergent selection. And in this presentation we're going to be focusing on cases where this happens in some patched areas. Okay. So the process of ecological speciation starts with a species that has a severely overlapping resource utilization. This means that a resource that they're using is shared and that it's causing significant competition. There is also gene flow between these two, which maintains the species. After divergent selection via resource competition occurs, we have two distinct species. They're able to utilize different resources, which means that there is a lower competition pressure between them. There is also little or no gene flow between these two species, which is caused by, like we said, some sort of reproductive barrier. So Gastroesophageal is a small fish that can be found in freshwater areas across the world. Its common name is three-spine stickleback. It's been observed in about 5 lakes in British Columbia that there are two different morphs of this species, a limnetic and a benthic morph. The limnetic morph pictured above is small. It has a small gape width, which is a measure of its mouth size, and it has many and long gill rakers. These here are gill rakers, and they are associated with filter feeding. Benthic individuals, as pictured below, are larger in size. They have a large gape width, and they have significantly reduced gill rakers. These gill rakers and mouth size are known as trophic morphologies, which are morphological features associated with feeding. Like I said, gill rakers are associated with filter feeding, which you would see in plankton eaters like limnetics. Benthic individuals tend to eat invertebrates, so things like snails, bugs, stuff like that. So a larger mouth size and a stronger jaw are more important than gill rakers for filter feeding. Okay. So past studies have shown a correlation between morphology, these morphological differences, and habitats that these individuals utilize. So the limnetics typically utilize this open water limnetic zone, and benthics will use this sedimentary benthic zone and up into the littoral zone here on the lake shore. So now we're going to talk about whether these morphological divergences are associated with performance and whether this is caused by divergent selection. So study in 1995 was looking at this question. So he took benthic and limnetic species from Paxton Lake, which is in British Columbia. He also wanted to look at the fitness of hybrids between these two species. So instead of breeding them in a lab where there could be some sort of fitness bias, he obtained them from an existing population in Second Lake. So Schluter set up enclosures in these two lake zones, the littoral and the limnetic zone. In each zone, he has each of the three populations, so limnetic, benthic, and hybrids, in individual enclosures. These enclosures were had a large enough opening that prey could flow through, but the fishes couldn't get out. Before he put them in the enclosures, he measured their mass, and he measured their mass at the conclusion of the experiment to get the overall growth rate. This growth rate was used as an indicator of fitness in these habitats.